So, but the language in communication requires a medium, and there's a lot of different mediums. So there's social media, there's Twitter, there's writing books, there's blog posts, there's podcasts, there's YouTube videos, all of things you have dipped a toe in your exploration of different mediums of communication.
Yeah.
Which do you see yourself? This might be just a poetic way of asking, are you going to do a podcast? But broader picture, what do you think as an intellectual in this world, for you personally, would be the path for communicating your ideas to the world? What are the mediums you are currently drawn to out of the ones I mentioned, or maybe something I didn't?
To answer your question concretely before abstractly, I'm scared, but I need to do a podcast. You know, it's important. It is my obligation as a member of my generation. I really hope that more people my age start to do this, because we will be the people in charge of new ideas, which either sink or swim.
How upset would your dad be when your podcast quickly becomes more popular than his?
I think he would be negatively upset.
Also, you'd be proud. He's a good dad.
I really think so. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Yes. So, but then zooming out, do you think podcasts, are you excited by the possibility of other mediums outside of podcasting to communicate ideas?
I would be, if people still read books or did things like that. I'm somewhat guilty of this. A lot of the books I read are very technical, and then to absorb like really deep modern conversations, I listen to podcasts, and I don't really read many books on like the matters that we're discussing, for example.
It's fascinating because you're making me think of something that I align with you very much, of how I consume deep thinkers currently. So what happens is somebody who thinks deeply about the world will write a book. Jordan Peterson example. And instead of reading their book, I'll just listen to podcast conversations of them talking about the book, which I find this is really sad, but I find that to be a more compelling way to think about their ideas, because they're often challenged in certain ways in those conversations, and they're forced to, after having boiled them down and really thought through them enough to write a book. So it's almost like they needed to go through the process of writing a book just so they can think through, convert the language in their minds into something more concrete, and then the actual exchange of ideas, the actual communication of ideas with the public happens not with the book, but after the book, with that person going on a book tour and communicating the ideas.
Well, there are two meanings I make of why not too many people spend much of their time reading anymore. One interpretation is that we've lost our attention spans to our phones. People can't concentrate on a page if it takes them a minute to read. We're too busy, watching TikToks or whatever people do. The other interpretation would be that language and verbal communication has, as well as some amount of communication which is done through facial expression, tone of voice, etc. These are means of communication that have evolved along with humanity over thousands and thousands of years. So we know that we are built to communicate in this way. We have had writing for much less time. It is a system that we invented, not a system which evolved and is innately part of humanity or the human mind. And so we are designed to consume conversation by our own evolution. We are designed to consume writing by some process of symbols that's evolved over a couple thousand years. It makes sense to me why many are much more compelled to listen to podcasts, for example, than they are to read books. it could be that this is simply a technological progression which has displaced reading conventionally, instead of some sort of maladaptation of our minds, which has corrupted our attention spans. Likely there's some combination which determines why people spend much less time reading. But I don't think it's necessarily because we're all broken. It may simply have to do with the fact that we are designed to listen and through our ears and speak through our mouths, and we are not innately designed to communicate over a page. So,
yeah, there's an exciting coupling to me between like few second TikTok videos that are fun and addicting, and then the 3-4 hour podcasts, which are both really popular in our current time. So people are both hungry for the visual stimulation of internet humor and memes. I'm a huge fan of, and also slow moving, deep conversations. And that might, there's a lot of, it's part of your generation to define what that looks like moving forward. A lot of people, like Joe Rogan is one of the people that kind of accidentally stumbled into the discovery that this is like a thing.
Yeah.
And now people are kind of scrambling to figure out, why is this a thing? Like, why is there so much hunger for long form conversations? And how do we optimize that medium for further expression of deep ideas and all that kind of stuff? And YouTube is a really interesting medium for that as well. Like video, sharing of videos. Most of YouTube is used with a spirit of like the TikTok spirit, if I can put it in that way, which is like, how do I have quick moving things that even if you're expressing difficult ideas, they should be quick and exciting and visual and switching. But there's a lot of exploration there to see what can we do something deeper, and nobody knows. And you're part of you have a YouTube channel releasing one video every few years. So your momentum is currently quite slow, but perhaps it'll accelerate. But you're one of the people that gets to define that medium. Do you enjoy that, the visual, the YouTube medium of communication as well?
I know that when the topic of conversation or the means by which a conversation is communicated or an idea is communicated, if that is sufficiently interesting to me, I will read a book on it. I would listen to a podcast on it. I would watch a video on it. I think if I'm very curious about something, I will consume it however possible. I think when I have to consume things which really don't interest me very much, I'm indeed much more ready to consume them through some sort of video or discussion than I am through like a long, tedious book.
So for the breadth of acquiring knowledge, video is good. For the depth, the medium doesn't matter.